Hello! We'll wait for people to join. Yes. Second.
It's like, did you ever
from
live and you're like, oh,
hello. Hi, Helen. It's one of my friends. Hello. So we're gonna wait a second or two and let more people join in. Oh, look at all. Oh, hello, lovely.
hello.
Hi. So I'll start by saying hi. My name's Tanya and I run Unpacked, the shop in Kildare, and this is Rose of Rosie's Eco Store. And so tonight we're for International Women's Day talking about a topic that is very important for most women, a thing that will affect them from the time they're 9 to 11 all the way through until their 50s, menstruation. And oh my god, taboo topics. And the reusable sanitary products that we both offer in store, and also how to use them, how to care for them, and why would you make that change? What would lead you into it? So I wanted to give a little bit of background about myself. I am a mother of two and have gone through all of the things that go with that, but I also have endometriosis and have had 2 laparoscopic surgeries for it, have profoundly heavy periods, and always thought that I would never be able to use reusable sanitary products because they wouldn't be able to, 1, hold the amount of blood that I was going to produce on a monthly basis, and 2, kind of like I have a lot of like stuff that I needed to understand about, like, I have to wash it myself, and isn't that kind of gross? And so that's where I was coming from until I changed a few years ago, and I wanted to ask Rose, why do you make what you make?
Well, I suppose the idea a few years ago came to me that I wanted to do something reusable, something small. So I actually started out with my scrubby face pads, my face pads. That was my small little starter off product. And then I moved into reusable breast pads because, having breastfed my 2 kids, I didn't like using the disposables which were available at the time, and I had never even heard of reusable breast pads at the time, until I researched well after I had stopped and realised, this is a thing that could make people's lives a bit easier, because you wouldn't be spending a fortune on disposable, itchy, sticky pads that, I'm sorry, don't stay in place and don't hold anything during the night. So I started off with that, and then a few months into that, one of my friends said to me, did you ever think about doing, reusable sanitary pads? And I honestly had the same reaction. I was like, I don't know, I might try and make a few for myself, but I don't think there's really a market there. And to be honest, plenty of girls I worked with, I said it to them, they're like, oh no, I wouldn't use that. Oh no. This is about 2 years ago, and I was like, all right, well, I'll give it a try. And I made a few for myself, tried them out for a few months, and I was like, I actually really like these. These are really comfortable, really nice. And you can do so much with them. You can make them so fun. You can put whatever print you want on them. They're nicer than going in and buying a pack of plastic wrapped pads. So then I just said, hey, I'll give it a go. I'll pop them on the site. I'll see if there's any interest. And now it's the best selling product that I sell. It's overtaken any other product on my site. It's all women come to the site for now. It's sanitary pads.
I think it's the point there about you can have nice prints and they can be comfortable and soft. The surface of a reusable pad is typically something like very genuinely soft, like a brushed bamboo or something that's absorbent, but also so incredibly comfortable to wear in comparison to the plastic cover that lines the other ones. That kind of, I can remember waking up in the morning and peeling something that will have stuck to your body overnight.
And then it turns the wrong way.
And you're like, you've got this sticky adhesive from the back of it stuck to your leg. They're so uncomfortable. Now looking back, I'm like, what was I thinking?
And the funny
of course the reusable
people
ones
say to me like, but like they must be so warm to wear because it's so many layers. I'm like, do you not sweat in them, especially in the summer? Are they not? But they're not. They're actually better because they're more breathable, because there is no plastic in them. The air can circulate and you don't feel any warmer or any sweatier.
So
you actually feel better.
One of the questions that I didn't get asked, but I thought I might get asked, was actually about the smell. And so I noticed after I changed to reusable products that I have a very sensitive sense of smell. My husband would tell you that he could open the fridge from across the house and I'll go, there's something rotten in there. I was always able to smell myself on a monthly basis, and when I shifted to reusable products, that smell just kind of goes away.
Because the smell is made by the bacteria that breeds in the moisture that's trapped by the plastic. And people don't know this, and they think, oh, reusables must be so smelly, and it's like, actually no, there's no smell. Once you wash them, they're fine.
It smells like, honestly, it smells like iron. If there's any smell at all, like maybe it's because I have a very heavy flow, the only smell that I smell is when I take them off and I'm rinsing them, and I'll get that iron smell, but that's the only smell that ever hits me. And I was like, this is so much nicer. It's a thing that comes up all the time. I'm like, I love that I don't smell anymore to me. And I'm always like, I must smell to other people. Back when I was wearing them, they must be able to smell me. And now I don't worry about that at all. So there's a benefit right off the bat. You're not going to worry that people are going, ooh, smells. Therese says she 100% agrees.
Thank you, Therese.
Yes. But so there's so many benefits to a reusable sanitary product, and we will talk about menstrual cups as well at the end, but I'm actually not as well versed in menstrual cups as I am in reusable sanitary products, like pads. And so I actually made the decision to move to sanitary pads right before I had my second kid. And so I had these pads that I'd used like once or twice, and then they were waiting for me to be finished breastfeeding. And my period came back really quickly after I had Hannah, and actually the reusable breast pads, like they make such a difference as well. They don't smell as badly as the plastic ones do either. But when I changed, what I noticed was I had 3 or 4 things happen all at once. I had a better understanding of my cycle because I was washing the pads out. I knew what a really heavy flow day was, what was normal for me. And I think that is a taboo topic. Is because you don't, when you're taking something off and just throwing it in the bin, you never really think about like, what is normal for me? What is the level that is normal? Oh yeah, I use heavy pads.
Because you can't see it, because this gel locks it all away in the center, so you have no idea what's going on. And
then the other thing that I came to is a really quick realization: less thrush and less UTIs. Like just gone overnight. These were things that I was dealing with so often that I kept Candestin in the press and the pessaries in the press because I knew it would happen. And I would have like Cystopurin in my medical cupboard just because I knew I was going to end up getting a UTI halfway through my period. And that all just stopped. And I think you have some good information on why these things happen.
I did a survey through, I think you actually responded to it last September, just for my own information, for feedback from my customers. But 94% of the women who responded to that survey said that every month they would have, UTI or thrush or stinging or rash or a burning sensation from using tampons or from using disposable pads. And one woman actually said that she would always have a UTI and or thrush every month, and that all those symptoms went away when she switched to reusables. They just stopped.
Completely unsurprised. And I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that people don't realise how many chemicals are in these products.
I mean, there's actual pesticides in these products, and you're putting them close to your most intimate part of your body, the most sensitive, intimate part of your body, and you're putting chlorine, you're putting pesticides, you're putting perfumes that are not even like listed. They're not even like listed. They're just like unidentified perfumes, what it says, just to give them a scent so you feel like you don't smell. All these things, and you're putting it right against your vulva, you're putting it right up to your vagina, and your body is absorbing all this, and then that's all held there by a sheet of plastic. So it's bouncing all the moisture and everything back at you again. So it's no wonder you're going to get, like, of course you're going to get thrush, or you're going to get itching or burning, because
if you pop into the shop, we can definitely advise you on how to change and what to do to change. And actually, there's another thing that I wanted to talk about at the end. I have a lot of older women who are asking me about incontinence.
Yes, I stopped those too.
And so I think it's really important that, especially for women who may have had children or may have pelvic prolapse or issues with incontinence as they get older, these pads are a much more sustainable option. And again, if you're going to be wearing a pad on a daily basis that's for incontinence, those plastic pads are only going to make you more and more uncomfortable. And thank you guys for the donations so far. This is great. Thank you. But yeah, so I was shocked when I discovered that bleach was one of the primary ingredients. Why are they white? Why do they need to be white?
Yeah.
It seems to be this marketing thing, and it has to come from men.
Idea.
Yes, it's the idea of periods are dirty. And they're not. They're a normal part of being a woman.
And you know, the amazing thing is only 17% of the women who replied to my survey said it was important to them that their pads were white. Only 17%.
Every single one of my
no one else cared.
Pads black.
All the ones I make are black. I think I've got one white option, and that was literally because, in fairness, there was some women who said, like, when they're going through maybe an IVF journey and things like that, they need to be able to see their flow or track it a bit easier, and the white just helps. So that option is there, but 95% of my pads have black.
Yes.
Most people don't want it or need it.
I don't
want to see it.
It's not that I don't need to see it. I don't, like, when you're rinsing it, you get a knowledge of how heavy your flow is. You don't need to see it on the pad.
No.
Because you're rinsing it out. And so we'll actually talk about cleaning them.
Yeah.
So if you talk about how you're supposed to care for your pads, and I'll tell you all the things I've been doing wrong.
Sounds like you've been doing it right so far.
So, how do you care for your pads?
So, when you are changing your pad, what I always say to people is, if possible, because I know sometimes people change pads, they're not at home, so it might not be possible, but if possible, the best way is to rinse them out in cold water. Cold water just because sometimes you might have a small bit that leaks through onto the printed side, and cold water will not let any stains set in the cotton, so you won't have any staining. I've had pads that I've been using for 3 years, I've had leaks through them, and there's no staining on them. So you rinse them out in cold water, and then you just throw them in your normal wash, 30 degrees, 40 degrees, in with your normal load. It doesn't need to go in its own special load. It doesn't need its own special detergent. It doesn't need, Dettol or anything to kill bacteria. It doesn't need anything like that. Just in whatever laundry detergent, softener, whatever you want, throw it in your normal wash, and then you can either air dry them or you can tumble dry them. They're fine to be tumble dried. In fact, I normally recommend that people do wash them once before using them the first time, because it just helps with absorbency. Yeah. But that's literally it. There's no special care. Like, people are like, oh, do you need like a special soap, a special detergent? Does it need a special cycle? Oh, do I have to like air dry them? What if I'm in a rush? No, you can tumble dry them. It's fine. Like, it's absolutely fine.
There's only two things that I would point out and add to this. If somebody in your house got a nosebleed or cut themselves and bled all over their clothes, what would you do with it? You'd cold set it, so you'd wash it in cold water, and then you'd throw it in with your normal wash. What do you do if you leak out of a disposable at night onto your pants or onto your sheets? You cold set it and you wash it the same way you wash everything else. It doesn't become this big ritual. It's exactly the same thing with the pads. And I think that's a really important point. I actually thought when I started, they need to go in their own wash and they need to be separate from other things.
And people do message and ask me that too. They're like, oh my god, but like, do I need to specially wash these? I'm like, no,
you just chuck them in the wash. Now, one of the things that I do that's maybe slightly different is sometimes, because of my extremely heavy flow, I will soak them for like an hour before I finish rinsing them, because they're heavy. And so it just allows the blood to kind of release from the inside of the core
from the heavier ones.
And actually, on the point of leaking, I leaked far more from disposables than I have ever leaked out of a reusable sanitary pad. Like, I can put one on at night and I am never concerned that I'm going to have blood on the sheets in the morning. It's just not a thing that happens, because they are slightly longer, typically the nighttime ones have a longer back, but they sit more comfortably in your underwear. I know you might think just because they have that one little clip typically that wraps around your underpants that they're going to shift up and down, but they really don't. They sit quite well and they're secure, and I've never had that problem ever. And it's so funny because I typically every other period when I was using disposable would end up washing my sheets. Or,
you know why? You come back to the plastic again, because the plastic coating that you don't see, because they tell you these pads are cotton feel. That's how they market it to you. Feel. That's, it's not cotton. But like, it's because of this little microplastic layer on the top that again is touching your skin. So like, if you have a sheet of plastic and you pour water on it, what happens? It moves around the sheet of plastic. So if liquid is coming out onto this pad and you're lying down, it's going to flow along the plastic, so there is a higher chance it's going to leak out. Whereas
that's
if you've got flannel or cotton or fleece or whatever against your skin, it's going right in.
straight.
It's not sliding anywhere. So it's the plastic.
That's so funny. That's I've never really thought about that. And the only other thing I do when I'm storing them from month to month is I actually store them, rather than storing them in the zip seal waterproof bag that I use when I'm out and about, I actually store them in like a loose mesh bag, just because they breathe a bit easier, and then if there is any minor amount of damp left on them after drying them, it doesn't kind of
I actually chuck mine in a drawer in the bathroom.
Mine are in a bag because I have to carry them around with me because I don't know where I'm going to be. I have like 3 bags, and there's like one in the upstairs bathroom, one in the downstairs bathroom, and there's one bag everywhere, and they're just like, there's some in my handbag. And that is another really good point. I have never had to go out for the past 4 years and go, do I have pads at home?
Yeah.
Do I need to
Always
get
have
them? They're just always there. It's not a thing I have to consider. They're just always there. And I've never had to send my husband out on an emergency run in the middle of the evening.
So he's delighted. Delighted in life.
I suppose because of the fact that I have endometriosis, Keith got kind of Keith got really kind of involved in caring for me, because there were times before I had my surgeries where I would literally be unable to move,
of course,
and he would have to do a lot of care, like bringing me hot water bottles and medicine and all these sorts of things, and knowing how long, because before I had my lap surgeries, my period would last 10 days.
Oh, lovely. So nice.
And I know there are people out there who are probably on this, who maybe have things like PCOS, which can result in month-long bleeding. And so the reduction in your overall costs as well by using these, I know they can seem initially quite expensive. Like it can be costly in comparison to a €2 pack or a €3 pack of pads that are disposable. You're going to be paying upwards of €25-26 for maybe 2 or 3. But once you have about 6, that's for the average person. 6 is probably between 6 and maybe 10, depending on how heavy your flow is and how often you're going to be. Like some people might have more frequent periods and some people have less. I'm terrible. I know I shouldn't because of the zero waste thing, but I'm always of the opinion that one is none. So I like to have 2 of a lot of things, just in case I need it when I'm not at home or somewhere else. And so I actually have about 12 or 13, but they're for different levels of flow and different, like some are light, so they're for the ends of my period, some are for nighttime, and some are for during the day. And I also have a couple that are like the emergency ones that I really don't want to use unless I have to, and they're like ugly patterned ones that I bought early on when I was just trying to figure out what I was doing.
Even though you can't see them when they're on, we still want the nice patterns.
I still want the nice patterns.
We still want them to be pretty, because when we take her out, like,
I actually have one from you that has Wonder Woman on the back of it, and that's like in my special bag in my bathroom. I'm like, that's for when I'm having a good day, not the first day where I'm really in pain. That's for my nice day where I feel like I can get out there and do anything. Yes.
When I changed over, I started buying Rosie's pads before I ran out of disposable ones, so I could buy the reusable ones. But that's exactly it. You know, buy a few, like buy 3, 4, and then like literally you can just buy one every month or one every few weeks when you can afford it. Just buy one each time and add to your stack. You know, you don't need to buy 12 in one go. Like you know, buy a few. Like she's saying, I mean, if you've got the pads there, you might as well use them. If you've got disposables left over, don't throw them in the bin. I mean, that's just an absolute waste. No. So use what you've got left.
Yes.
You might as well use them, and then, you know, build up your reusable pads. Yes. And then eventually you'll have enough that you don't need to buy disposables anymore. So that's perfect.
That's the perfect thing. Yeah. And I'm contemplating at the moment, there's a service that I can get on the website and in store called Partially. And it will allow people to part pay for goods and build up over time. And I actually think, what do you sell individually in the shop, Tanya? I do have, and I will actually be stocking Rosie's. That's part of the announcement of tonight. There will be some of Rosie's stuff will be here in store within the week.
Hopefully Thursday.
Okay.
And the good thing about that actually is there's going to be 3 prints, 2 medium, 1 heavy, that are only going to be sold here in Unpacked, not on my website, not available anywhere else, and 1 set of scrubby pads in a print that will only be available here too, so they won't be on my website. I will show pictures on my website or my Instagram so you can see what they look like, but they won't be on my website, so you'll have to come in here if you want to buy them, and they're really nice.
we pick nice prints. But yeah, it's that gradual change. And one of the things I will say as well, guys, is they last for like 10 years. So even that initial investment at the start, they're going to keep going for a long time.
There was a survey done a few years ago, and the minimum, now this is the bare minimum spend per woman per year in Ireland on their period is €121, and that's the minimum, and that's including like pain relief. So like,
I don't know,
that is the minimum. And I'm telling you, women are spending 200 a year on their periods, and like probably more, because if they've got bad periods and you have to take a day off work, there's your day's pay gone. If they're not going to pay you sick pay, you know, so you are losing out on all this money as well, but just with just the cost of just the products. Okay, so like you were saying earlier, it might seem like on the outset, oh, that's very expensive, you know, one pad is this much and a packet is only this much, but I mean, over 5 years you're saving over €500, 8 years €800, you know, 10 years €1,000, you know, and then the waste on top of that, which we'll talk about now as well.
And there's also a level of independence. So one of the things, like obviously there's donations going on for We Do Worldwide on this call at the moment, and the reason why is because gender equality is a big problem with climate change, and there's studies that show that women who are empowered and who are in power because they were empowered through policy and legislation and government programs are more likely to have positive impacts on their community for global climate change. And one of the things that holds girls back, and it's proven to hold girls back when they reach the age of menstruation, is menstruating. They're made to feel embarrassed about it, they're made to feel uncomfortable about it, they don't feel like they can do the sports that they used to do, they don't feel like they can engage with society in a normal fashion. And so one of the things that We Do Worldwide does is obviously enable people to engage with policy, but there are a lot of these women's organisations internationally that are actually promoting things like the reusable sanitary products, because it's kind of like they give a man a fish and he'll feed himself for a day. If you give a woman some kind of reusable sanitary product, they can actually find an element of freedom. They can continue to go to work, they can do things, because if they're not confined trying to figure out, am I going to use tissue paper? We've all done that. That has been a thing. Every woman has done the folding of the tissue in a careful pile when you're out somewhere and you've lost your pads, or you don't have something with you, or you're asking out of this corner of a cubicle, hey, does anybody have a pad in here? That's not really a thing you have to do when you have the reusables, because typically they're in your handbag. Like I have two that I just carry around with me all the time, and yes, I would have done the same with disposables, but the reusable ones, I don't know why, it just feels it's easier to keep them in my bag than the disposables. I don't forget them, they're always there. So yeah, I'm really excited about the amount of people who've engaged with the questions and everything. This is great. Does anybody have any other questions for us? Brona needs more scrubbies. We're doing scrubbies as well. We are. The scrubbies will be here, as well as some of the bags. All of Rosie's eventually will just be a Rosie store. That's what we're gonna do.
That's the plan.
Yeah, she's taking it over. But yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about menstrual cups as well, because some women prefer to use a tampon, and a menstrual cup is a good alternative. Now, I don't have as much information on them. However, I do know, again, they need a cold wash sometimes after you've had your full period using them, and second of all, they need to be boil sterilized at the end of your period. And once you do that, then you can use them for the rest of your period just normally. You don't have to boil sanitize them between each change. Typically, the different sizes actually hold different amounts in mils of blood, and so sometimes between like 29 and 35 or so mils. They have air holes at the top of them. They're there on purpose. Don't like stick things into them to clean them. If you do need to clean them, flex the rubber and kind of clean it with a light brush. And they are quite good for people who prefer to use tampons, or if you like to swim a lot. I know there are people that I know personally who do swim and dance, and they would use menstrual cups. And the sanitary pads are wonderful for things like active, like it's funny, it's the surface of them, it's the fact that they're softer. I have never had a burn experience from using a sanitary pad while working out in the gym. I have definitely experienced that before.
Or riding a bicycle. You never try that? The odd time I have with a disposable, I'm just like, oh, that was an awful experience. Let's not do that again. Not these. It's like a cushion.
Let's not go to Camelot. It's a very silly place. And there are so many benefits, both financially and physically. The lack of, if you think about it, the cost then of UTIs and care for throat
that's another added expense.
an added expense on top of that.
Your caniston and your doctor's visits, because you can't get certain stuff over the counter. You have to go to the doctor to be prescribed the good stuff.
Yes,
so there's more money.
There's more money gone.
Can't just get it from your chemist.
And so it is very interesting to me that they allot the cost as 120 odd euro. But realistically, the cost is more significant. Yeah. And when you take into account the 14% gender pay gap and all the other things, it actually makes more financial sense to buy these things and just use them over time. They do save you a huge amount of money, and they're pretty. They're soft and more comfortable and better for your, your gynecological health. Yeah. I think that might be everything, unless anybody has any other questions. One of the things we're going to be doing is, first of all, I'm going to be matching the donations that have happened so far. So that's 35 euros, so we'll do 70, and I'm probably going to bring that up to 100, just because I think it's a really important organisation. And we need to announce our winner from our competition. So the competition winner for some kind of reusable sanitary product, either a Rosie set or a menstrual cup, and a 20 euro voucher, will be Apple Holistic Health. So I'm going to message them after and just let them know in case they're on a call. We're also going to download this and pop this video up on YouTube. So if you didn't get to watch or you joined late on in the video, the whole thing will be up on my YouTube channel, and I'll also share it on the website. And I'd say you'll probably
share it.
And I'm going to post it on our feed as well. But I think if there are any other questions that anybody has, I think that might cover just about everything.
If you have any questions about my products, if you go onto my Instagram,
plug your Instagram. Yes.
rosiesecostoreire at the end. There is a highlight. If you scroll along my highlights, there is a highlight for frequently asked questions. So that'll answer a lot of questions there in a video. Or if you don't want to watch the video, you can go to my website, and there's also a frequently asked questions section on the website, which you can also scroll through. So any questions, the typical questions that I get asked a lot about the pads, will be there as well. So, and if you can't find the answer still, don't be afraid to just send me a DM. I get them all the time. I have no problem replying. So don't be embarrassed or shy. Send me the DM and I'll answer.
I'll be honest as well. I'm probably, because of my history and the length of time at which it took me to get a diagnosis for endometriosis, which on average in this country is 8 to 9 years. I am very open about menstrual health, and I will talk about it with everyone. So if you have any questions, do come in and ask. I have no problem answering them, and I'm more than happy. I know that there are thank you Jacqueline, and actually Apple Blossom Holistic joined. Guy, you are the winner of our competition. So you get to come in store and get your pads or your menstrual cup and 20 euro voucher. So, but yeah, I'm more than happy to talk about these topics, and I'm also more than happy to discuss them as well with teens. And I know you were thinking about doing some educational.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so because I think it is something that, like you were saying earlier, girls are still embarrassed about. So girls are a bit more confident when talking about that stuff now than say 10, 20 years ago, but there's still that embarrassment there where it's still like, I have my period. It's like a whisper thing, and I don't want to tell anyone. Like, better not talk about it, or like I think when I did my survey, there was like a tiny percentage of women who said they were actually comfortable talking to their male relatives, like their husband or their brother or their father or anyone around, like, about the fact that they even have their period. It's just this embarrassing thing. They don't want to talk to men about it because, God forbid, they should know that it's happening, I
think we do have to blame the Catholic Church just a tiny bit about that. Not just a little. It's cultural for sure. There are entire cultures where they send the women away to a menstrual hut while they're having their period. We don't do that here, but it's
nice though.
Like
TV and chocolate, and just be like, you go over there for days.
I'm not cooking anything this week. Bye. There could be benefits. This is the thing we could investigate: a menstrual hotel just for women who don't want to deal with anybody or anybody's BS for the time that they're having a period. There's a business model there somewhere.
Yeah.
But yes, so come in, chat to me. I have had teenage girls come in and like look at the menstrual cups and the pads and being like, afraid to ask. We are here to answer questions, and we're happy to. So I think that's everything. If anybody does have any other questions, just drop them in the comments below this video when I post it, and we will be more than happy to answer. Yep. And maybe we will talk again at some point. I'm sure there's a podcast in the future or something. about ladies' products. Anyway, thank you so much, guys, for joining, and happy International Women's Day. I hope everybody has had a wonderful day and got treated nicely by the men in their lives, and feel like successful, empowered women, which is what we want. Anyway, have a great night, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye. Now.